Hello YouTube and fellow DC Comic fans, I'm Keith One Shot, and this is my Comic Complete dramatic reading series, and today we will be covering Dark Days the Casting from DC Comics, all art, text, characters, and storylines belong to DC Comics and their respective owners, not me. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to go out and support DC Comics in your local comic book shop. We start the story off at a museum in St. Roch, where we see Hawkman and Hawkgirl in the Egyptian wing of the museum, headed towards the tomb of Shahara. We then hear Carter Hall read a passage from his journal, in which he says, "In Cairo, they called me an adventurer. In Athens, they called me a philosopher. But at my small museum in the quiet American city of St. Roch, in the first decade of the 20th century, I was an archaeologist. The job itself never changed. The human story is a mystery told by a billion unreliable narrators. And for the duration of our species, I had been nothing more than a detective. The mission was always the same, to carry forward the torch of discovery and reveal the secrets hiding in the darkest shadows, the truth buried deep beneath millennia of human memory." We then see Hawkman and Hawkgirl making their way towards an exhibit, where they see a group of people all wearing red cloaks, as we hear a passage from Carter Hall's journal that reads, "We had found them over many lifetimes, lurking at a site in human history, unchanging, all-seeing. We had long heard the rumors of the Rhyme and Demon of Camelot, brothers who keep secret mysteries, a man as old as America, the grove of ancient humanoid plants, keepers of secrets and mysteries, of sorcerers, shining knights, cavemen and phantom strangers of all stripes. None had ever thought to bring them together, the Immortals." We then see Hawkman and Hawkgirl talking with a group known as the Immortal Men, as we hear Carter Hall read a passage from his journal. "I told them what I knew, that our lives had not begun in Egypt, that they began generations earlier. The Dark Priest had set. He had not cast us down this path of reincarnation. He had taken our past away from us. He had obscured the truth behind the metal that we wore in our wings and belts, in service of something darker than any mortal could comprehend." A figure stepped from the back. His voice was like the rumble of thunder. He spoke of the metal that changed everything, and the terrible being that it had brought forth, the being from beyond all our understandings. We then see that the wizard Shazam is one of the Immortal Men, and as he steps forward, he pulls out a knife that has an aura of lightning around it. Then we see one of the cloaked immortals say to the other, "Al Ghul, do you see what I see?" To which Ra's al Ghul answers, "Yes, Miss Stewart, I do." The wizard Shazam then stabs the pedestal with a knife, sending out shocks of lightning, as we hear Carter Hall read a passage from his journal. The being that was cast out and sought desperately to return, to tear down all that was light in the world, and drag it into the dark, and the truth would hit us like lightning. We are then brought to Messina, Greece, where we see Batman in a suit of armor, as he is fighting a hippogriff with a spear. The hippogriff attacks Batman, breaking his spear. Then we see Wonder Woman fly in and say, "Enough, Epatron! This human falls under the protection of Themyscira." Wonder Woman then pets a creature as she says, "I am certain Batman was about to ask politely for safe passage to your patron's temple." To which Batman replies by saying, "I was going to do that next." Then Wonder Woman says to Batman, "You should have called me, Bruce. This is not a part of the world. Any mortal should walk alone." After the hippogriff drops the tool off at a nearby temple, we see the creature fly away. Then Batman says to Wonder Woman, "I promise you, Diana, I wouldn't be here if it weren't absolutely necessary. I am so damn close to the answers, I need to make sense of all I've seen. I need someone with a greater perspective, someone who was there when this was all set into motion." Then Diana says, "How did you discover the entrance to this place?" Batman then tells Diana, "I found a scroll from a death cult of smithworkers, buried deep in the Alps, dating back to 200 AD. They described the treacherous path to the great forge of Hepatus. They threw themselves in the fire when they reached it. They would become the fuel of his creations themselves." Then Diana replies, "And that's what you wish, Bruce? Make yourself a sacrifice to the gods? There are easier ways." Then Batman says, "Diana, I need to speak with him." As Wonder Woman opens the temple doors, she says to Batman, "I'm sorry, Bruce, but you're too late. The gods have abandoned Earth. They have barred the gate of Olympus behind them." Then Batman says with a serious look, "Why would they leave?" To which Wonder Woman replies, "I shouldn't be telling you any of this, Bruce. They believe a war is coming, a war that will not only shape the Earth, but the cosmos themselves, a crisis that will shake the very firmament and douse the light of creation. I can see in your eyes that you see it coming too. How can you know the thinking of the gods?" Batman then says to Wonder Woman, "I no fear, Diana. Use your lasso if you think I'm hiding anything from you. I'm not. The further I follow this mystery, the more frightened I become. Every question leads to more questions. I had hoped Hepatus would be able to shine a light into the darkness." Wonder Woman then pulls out a sword surrounded by flames, as she tells Batman, "He may still. Before I came to you, I had a vision. The great hound, war form of Hepatus, sat before me with eyes of fire and told me I would need to come here and that I would need to give you this. This is the Sunblade, Bruce. It was created for Apollo at the dawn of human civilization. One of 12 weapons, created for each pantheon. Humans are not meant to know these weapons even exist, let alone wield one. They were forged with the most powerful metal Hepatus has ever worked with. They called it the 8th metal. It is not the pure form you seek, but if you follow its light, it will guide you to where you need to go." Batman then asks Diana, "The 8th? Then Wonder Woman hands Bruce a Sunblade, as she tells him, "Mark my words, Bruce. The gods are giving you the sun to light your way. Do not throw it away for the darkness. And most of all, be weary of the gods. They have their own agendas." Then Bruce holds the sword as he says, "So do I. There's something beginning in the world, and somehow I found myself at its center. It's as though I can hear a message calling from the shadows, but the more I try to listen, the more it sounds like laughter." We then jump over to the Batcave in Gotham City, where we see the Joker behind an energy field, with Hal Jordan and Duke Thomas on the other side. The Joker then laughs and says, "Ha ha ha ha! Do you see the big picture yet, Green Lantern? Or am I going to have to spell it out for you in big plain letters? Hal Jordan then points his finger at the Joker and says, "We've listened to enough of your insanity, Joker. There isn't a single reason we should trust a damn word you say. Just thinking about Batman locking you away down here for God knows how long?" Then Duke says to Hal, "Trust me, GL, I'm going to have a talk with Batman when he gets back." The Joker then says to Duke, "Why so angry, Duke? Is it because you're the also-ran, the not good enough to get the real job done Robin? Or is it because the last time I saw you, I poisoned your parents past the brink of sanity and tried to have them shot right in front of your impressionable eyes? Ha 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 ha!" Duke then reaches through the energy field to attack the Joker, as Duke says, "Oh, I'll hurt you!" Hal then grabs Duke and says, "Get back, Duke! You don't want to mess with that energy field!" As Duke is knocked back into Hal, the Joker laughs and says, "Ha ha ha ha! See? I haven't had fun like this in ages!" The Joker then says with an evil grin on his face, "That's how it all started. You know, a bit of fun. I cut off my face and thought I'd kill his whole family. You know how it is. Get rid of the kids and rekindle the romance, the old flame. But it turns out he likes the brats. So there I was, tumbling down into the dark of the deepest corner of the Batcave, and splash! I must admit, I thought I was a goner until I woke up in the dark, and this shimmering green metal was running all over me, stitching my wounds back together, putting my face back just right." We then see a memory of the Joker standing in a cave naked, in green liquid, as the Joker tells Hal Jordan and Duke, "And then I saw it, towering over me, a mark on the wall, older than Gotham, older than civilization, the bat behind the bat. I needed to know more, and there were people. They knew, the owls knew, that lunatic crazy quilt knew. You see, it was all a great conspiracy, the pieces planted for generations. Birds had become bats, light had become dark, sanity had become insanity." The Joker then goes on to say, "It was coming. I could feel it in me. Even when I wasn't myself, I could still feel it in my head. An echo in the shadows calling the real me back to the surface. I'm sure you know what I mean, Duke. You must have felt it too. You're probably feeling it right now. That pesky little force field sure is reacting strangely to your body, don't you think?" Duke then says in a panic, You did this! I don't know how! You knew!" The Joker then reaches and grabs a hold of Duke, as he says, "Then you're not listening!" And with that, the energy field shuts down, knocking both Duke and Hal down to the ground. Now that the Joker is free, he then tells Duke, "It's still in me! It's in you! It's all around us! I just needed to create a circuit to escape, and you did the job wonderfully." Hal then yells at the Joker by saying, "No! Won't let you get free!" Suddenly, the lights shut off in the Batcave, as the security system sounds an alarm that says, "Defensive measures activated, cutting off power to sub-cave alpha, smile protocol in effect." The Joker then whispers in Duke's ear, "See? The dark is coming. Ha!" Then Duke yells, "GL, light up the room! We can't let him get away!" Hal then tries to shine his ring's light. Then he says, "Damn it, I can't! Ring's still shorting out! I don't know what the hell is happening!" The Joker then says with an evil smile, "Okay, I know how this story is going to end, because it's all happened before." We then see Carter Hall and Cher exploring a cave, as we hear a passage from Carter Hall's journal, in which he narrates, "The Immortal spoke of the tribes at the dawn of man, the arrival of the strange metal that would change everything, brought to this world by a tear in the fabric of reality, and the demon that rose from the dark, and nearly conquered us all. At first we didn't believe. The scale of what they were telling us was too huge, too frightening. We set out to confirm their story, to find any evidence that it was all a lie. But instead, we found countless paintings on every continent, hidden in the deepest cave systems, all telling the same dark story." We then see the image of a demon on the cave wall, as well as the image of a betrayal happening. As Carter Hall and Cher walk deeper into the cave, we hear Carter Hall read from his journal. "They spoke of the Hawk tribe, where my story had truly begun, though I did not remember it. They spoke of the betrayal of the Judas of the birds, who sided with the demon. The demon who took the signal of the great and terrible bat, the plague bringer, the scourge of mankind. My wife and I, we died fighting it back into the darkness whence it came, shuttering the door between its world and ours. That was the truth had severed from us by recreating the scene a millennia later. He, the emissary of the same dark forces that nearly fell humanity before it began. Birds and bats, forever at war. The Immortals told us the metal was cursed. It needed to be eliminated, as its power came from the same darkness that begat this great destroyer." We then see memories from Carter Hall's past, where we see the Blackhawks, as Carter Hall reads a passage from his journal. "But this strange metal, it had meant so much more to us. It had brought us wonders, brought us wings, and countless lives. I knew I had to understand more. I needed to see the place from which this power came, and it took decades to build the technology we needed. We recruited adventurers from around the world, who shared our values, our certainty that the nature of the cosmos was benevolent." We then see Carter Hall and Cher going over the data. Then we see the challengers of the unknown, as Carter Hall continues to read from his journal. "We wouldn't be beaten down by the unknown. We would challenge it. The wizard's knife gave us the power we needed to chart our way into the darkness, and we were ready to understand the true nature of things ourselves and the worlds around us. I remember Shahara's hand in mine, holding tight as the switch was flipped. Then I remember the earth shaking, as if it had been torn apart, and the screaming." We then see a huge explosion, right in front of where Carter Hall and Shahara were conducting their experiment, as Carter Hall continues to read from his journal. As I stared into the darkness where Challenger's Mountain had stood, I felt a chill down my spine, and I saw the eyes of something great and terrible staring back at me through the abyss. You see a massive pair of eyes, staring Carter and Shahara right in their faces as Carter reads from his journal. Eyes, waiting in the darkness, waiting for something, someone. We then go to the Saharan Desert, where we see Batman cutting his way through a wall with the sun blade leading his way. Batman knocks on a wall and says, "Computer, access your shadow drive. Record new audio file. I feel like I'm running out of time." 60 miles from the coast of Greece, the sun blade began to vibrate to an unknown source that has led me here, to a secret base of unknown origin, deep under the Saharan Desert, searching for answers, and all I find are more mysteries. Send an alert to Black Lightning. I need the outsiders to scour the surroundings. And then, suddenly, a voice says, "Batman, you must turn back." Batman then sees who the voice belongs to, as he says, "Dublix, this is a Cadmus base?" Then Dublix responds to Batman by saying, "No, Batman, that is what it was. What it has become is far darker. The DNA Project had tracked the beings within their blood, and they began to activate them with a power source they did not understand." Then Batman says, "What are you saying? What caused this?" Dublix then tells Batman, "The metal you seek is cursed, Batman. The energy in it is roiling and dark. Everything it touches corrupts. See for yourself. See the damage it has wrought." We then see a demon within the Cadmus base trying to escape, but Dublix is holding it back with a psychic aura the best he can, as Dublix then continues to tell Batman, "Too weak. Cannot hold the psychic projection. You must turn back now, before it corrupts you too. I feel its grip tightening on you." Then Batman tells Dublix, "You need to tell me where this metal is. I need to see what's coming." Dublix then says, "No, Batman, run!" We then see Dublix get knocked out by Talia al Ghul. Then Talia says, "He fought so bravely to prevent me from taking my birthright. I almost pity the creature. Hello, beloved." Then Batman tells Talia, "It's been a long time since beloved. What are you doing here, Talia?" Then Talia tells Bruce, "The same thing as you, I suppose. You seek something of great power, and it eludes the grasp of the demon, Bruce." Then Batman says, "What does Ra's al Ghul know, Talia?" Then Talia answers by saying, "At the dawn of the 20th century, my father and others of his like came together to discuss a great mystery. One of them produced a powerful dagger made from the strange metal you seek. My father spent decades trying to reacquire it. He ultimately succeeded, picking it from the ruins of a private military base in the Rocky Mountains. He's supposed to right people, would pay good money to tap into its powers." Then Bruce says to Talia, "So you've come to do your father's bidding." Then Talia says, "No, Batman. There's been secret battles to suppress the power of this metal for decades, but its power has only grown with time, tainting more and more. True war is now inevitable. You must know this. You have one of the potentials living under your roof." Talia then tells Bruce, "I came for the knife to ready myself for war. It darkens day by day, its terrible power growing." Then Batman says with blood on his face, "I've heard rumblings. Leviathan moving against you, the great assassins you've brought back into the fold." Talia then tells Batman, "You have nothing to fear from the silencer, Bruce, nor from me." Batman then pulls out the Sunblade and says, "Talia, what if I could offer you a trade? The 8th form of the metal for the 9th. Then Talia answers Bruce by saying, "You would trade light for darkness. You would give me the power of a god?" Then Batman says, "The world is at a moment of great imbalance. I help the mother of my son, the daughter of my enemy. So should the moment come where I need to call upon her for a greater favor, perhaps she'll answer." Talia then pulls out the dagger, then says to Bruce, "Very well. They say you can hear the name of the wizard who forged the dagger when you hold it in your hand." Then Talia hands the dagger to Bruce and tells him it carries a piece of his great power, the power of Shazam. We then see in the dagger the thunderbolt symbol of Shazam. We then go back to the Batcave, where Duke Thomas yells, "We need light, damn it!" Then Hal Jordan says, "I'm trying!" Then Duke says, "Joker, show yourself!" Then we see the Joker smashing Batman's machine from Super Heavy, as he says, "I can't let him dig any deeper. There's no telling what will happen next. If he does, he doesn't understand how important he is. Not like I do." Duke then says, It's some kind of machine." Then Hal Jordan says, "What is this thing? I don't get it, Joker. Where's the joke in all of this?" Then Joker says to Hal, with an angry look on his face, "This isn't funny." Hal Jordan then uses his ring and says, "Get away from me." Then the Joker smashes Hal Jordan in the face with a crowbar, as he says, "Don't you understand? This is what your alien boss has sent you here to stop. If he uses the machine, that'll be the end of everything." Then Duke tackles the Joker as they fall deeper into the Batcave. As the two are falling, Duke punches the Joker in the face, as the Joker says, "Oh, Duke, I see why you're so angry. You've never quite fit in here, have you? No matter how much Batman pretends you belong, like the Giant Penny or the T-Rex, there's something different about you." Duke then continues to punch the Joker in the face, as he says, "Shut up!" The Joker then laughs with blood coming out of his mouth as he tells Duke, "Aren't you curious? Isn't there a part of you that wants to know why Batman picked you? Why I picked you? Did you know? At Gotham Mercy Hospital, there's an automatic flag that goes up when something unusual is detected in a blood sample. It's kind of a metal toxicity, but they can't really track any of the effects because it sure as hell isn't iron. It isn't even mercury. The first doctor to put that flag up, the program only gave him 4 characters to designate that flag. But he did the best he could, and I've seen that file for both you and your mom." We then see Duke's hand around the Joker's throat, as the Joker has a bloody smile on his face. He tells Duke, "Meta!" And Batman's tracking down as many of you as he can, for years now. Don't you get it? A whole new generation of superheroes and supervillains, the soldiers of the war that will rip this world apart. The Joker then cracks Duke with his crowbar as he changes the tide of the battle. Then Joker says to Duke, "Tell the computer to pull the meta files sometime. You can see them all for yourself. People with that crazy metal running through their veins. You've seen what it can do in its other forms. Can you imagine what it does to people? What am I saying? Of course you can! I know the truth, Duke. I know what you're here to do. You'll let him see in the dark. That's all you are, Duke. That's the role you're destined to play. You are the signal, and I can't allow that. So I'm going to have to kill you now." Duke then kicks the Joker off of him as he says, "No! I won't let you!" As Duke falls deeper into the Batcave, the Joker looks down and says, "And the signal goes dark! Ha 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 ha!" Then the Joker breaks Batman's machine. Then he says, "And now to write the grand finale of this sordid tale, so we can get back to the good stuff, bats and clowns, not bats and birds. This has gone on long enough." We then hear Hal Jordan say, "You're damn right, Joker!" Then, Joker turns around to see Hal Jordan flying in the Batjet with Duke on its wing, as Hal tells Joker, "Something you probably should have known before you knocked me in a Bat's underground hangar. I'm a decorated member of the United States Air Force. Your story time is over." Then the Joker's eyes go wide as he says, "No!" We then see the house of Carter Hall as he reads a passage from his journal, in which he says, "There was a time I believed the world got a little better. Every time we solved one of the great mysteries, when we mastered the law of nature, with our wit and our science, I felt like we were marching onward and upward. Towards the kind of utopia of science and wonder that first captured my imagination when I saw the Thanascarian ship crashing on my life as Khufu. They were scientists. We would discern. We thought they came bearing gifts and knowledge. Now I know the reason they brought the Nth metal here. They came to warn us of what they knew was on the other side. They didn't come to help us move forward into the light. They were here to stop us in our tracks, so the universe would never fall prey to the ambitions of a small world that even a millennia later can barely get past its own moon." Carter Hall continues to read from his journal as he says, "This is the final chapter of my journal. I believe I found a way to penetrate the barrier of our reality and enter the dark myself. I still believe in my heart that there is wonder and hope out there in the unknown, at the center of all this incredible power, but that hope seems more foolish with each passing day. I feel the encroaching darkness, pointing doubt deep in my mind. The others, even my wife, believe that the mystery is and always has been a trap dragging us into nightmares, begging us to let those nightmares free and destroy our world. And it is true, our enemy has grown stronger than I could have ever imagined, and they keep killing my spies. As I get closer to determining their plans, I've done my best to avert their endgame." We then see Carter Hall give a man his journal. As he heads out, he continues to read from his journal. "I am entrusting this journal and the terrible secrets of the family that has always been most loyal to the birds, with the command to hide it, unless I fail and the beast comes again. Then, and only then, will this journal reveal itself." We then see Carter Hall open a portal to the darkness as he reads from his journal. They know how important this is. They must stay far away from the dark and frightening truth lurking under the world, trying to force itself through. I stand with my torch facing the dark. I believe I will find something out there, a glimmer of potential, but I know that I'm likely wrong, that all I will find is darkness itself. I walk towards my end alone, so no man will ever be foolish enough to follow." We then go back to the Batcave, where we see the Joker laugh. Ha 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 ha! Then Duke, Thomas, and Hal Jordan are standing on the Batjet as the Joker is being held in the Batjet's claws, as Duke tells the Joker, "What's so funny?" Then the Joker replies by saying, "It's happening again! No matter what I do, it keeps on coming! Everything is going backwards, and neither of you understand! You don't even realize that this time, I was being the good guy! A dark crisis is coming, and here you are! Two bright burning lights, calling it forward!" Duke puts his hand on his head and says, "GL, something's wrong!" Then Joker smirks and says, "I mean, come on! How is that not funny?" Duke then holds his head and says, "It's like I can feel something getting closer." Then Joker tells them, "All the pieces are connected, and the puzzle always comes together in the form of a bat." A yellow light then shines from Duke as he screams, "No! No!" Then, Duke falls off the Batjet, and Hal jumps down to catch him, as Hal says, "Duke!" Once Hal catches Duke, Duke says, "The Joker! Where did he?" Then we see Batman arrive at the Batcave, as he says, "Jordan, what the hell did you do to my cave?" Then Hal Jordan tells Batman, "What did I do? This was the Joker!" To which Batman replies, "You let him out! Do you have any idea?" Then Hal tells Batman, "How many Justice League bylaws you're breaking for locking up one of the most dangerous people on the planet in your basement without telling anyone?" "Yeah, Bruce, I do." Batman then yells at Hal Jordan, "I needed him!" Then Hal says, "For what?" To fill in every gap in this insane conspiracy theory with lies, secret metals with incredible power, shaping human history. I mean, come on! And based on what you told the League, you can't even be sure that was a real Joker. Bruce, we need you to explain. What's going on here? Then Batman tells Hal and Duke, "It's been a long time putting these pieces together, finding what I needed to look back into the dark." Then Duke says, "Back?" Then Batman tells him, I call this my final invention. It was designed to ensure the city would always have a Batman. But before it was finished, I died at the hands of Joker, and that would have been the end of my story. If not for the metal, if not for the Dynesium, I would have lost my life, and not just my memory. Ultimately, I used the machine to reconstitute myself. But the metal was still nestled in the cracks of my skull, and when the machine activated, I saw something impossible. Impossible versions of myself dying over and over again. We then see images of many different versions of Batman, dying. Then Batman goes on to tell Duke and Hal. Nothing in the machine I built would have given me those visions. It was in the metal, this incredible powerful metal, this metal I couldn't escape in any facet of my life, as though it was targeting me, over and over again, for some unknown reason, as though it wanted me to understand it. I began to rebuild the machine, from the ground up. I wanted to look inside the dark, and see the source of the metal's power. I knew that once I did, it would all come together. It would all make sense. Then Hal Jordan points at Batman and says, "Whatever you've been doing in here, caught the attention of the Guardians of the Universe, Batman." Then Batman says to Hal, "And that doesn't give you pause? Why would a mortal man on a backwater world, doing a little archaeology, require interference by intergalactic peacekeepers? Why does your ring, the most powerful weapon in the universe, cower in the face of a pure strand of this strange impossible metal?" Duke then tells Batman, "The Joker said you brought me in to study me, like some kind of experiment." Batman replies by saying, "The Joker lies, Duke. I never wanted to shape you. I only wanted to be there when you decided what you were going to become." We then see Batman pull out the dagger of the Wizard Shazam, as he says, "This was supposed to be the end of all of this. I had the dimensional frequency of the energy locked, and with this dagger, I had the power to see the truth at the heart of the mystery." Then, Duke's eyes begin to light up, as he says, "Whoa, that dagger! It's doing something to me! It's like I can see the whole machine still together, made of light! I see where this belongs, how it all fits together!" We see a yellow light from Duke's hand, outlining to him Batman's machine, in a yellow light. Duke's helmet then begins shattering, as he's surrounded in a yellow light. Then Duke says in a panic, "The Joker said this would happen! How could he know?" Then Batman says, "Hal, I know this makes you uncomfortable, but the night is getting blacker by every minute, and evil is far out of sight." Then Hal says, "Yeah, Batman, I know my oath." Then, Hal Jordan looks over at Duke and says, "Alright, kid, this Duke ring's just a loner, okay? If what I've been going through is any indication, this is gonna hurt a lot." Then Hal Jordan gives Duke Thomas the Green Lantern ring, and says, "You need to put all of yourself, all of your will into that ring, and show us what you see." Duke then uses the Green Lantern ring to show Batman and Hal what he sees through his new power with the green energy constructs. Then Duke says, "Whoa, Batman, it's all here! Psycho Pirate's mask, the Owl's Electrium." Then Batman says to Duke, "Hyperelastic molecules, ancient Themyscirian and Atlantean artifacts, relics of order and chaos. Together with your help, Duke, they will show me the way." Then Hal Jordan says, "Whatever you see in there, Bruce, I'm telling the Guardians. If this stuff can affect our rings, there's no telling how powerful it could be." Then, Batman holds the Wizard Shazam's dagger in his hand, as he says, "I understand, Hal, and thank you." We then see Batman stab the pedestal with a dagger, as we hear Carter Hall read from his journal. There's a feeling you get at the end of an adventure. You feel it in the anxious quickening in your heart, in every tentative footstep you take. It's the fear of what you've done to bring you to that point, the knowledge that whatever mistakes you've made are yours alone, from here till eternity. It's the knowledge that there is no way back. At the beginning of your story, burn white hot with possibility, you feel the fire in your veins, the need to know, to explore, to understand. But with every step forward, your story cooled and hardened, pulling you towards a singular ending. An ending you can no longer choose, an ending that chooses you. From the Journal of Carter Hall. We then see Batman using his machine, as he gets shocked with energy and collapses to the ground. Then Duke cries out, "Bruce!" Then Hal Jordan checks on Batman and says, "Bruce, what did you see?" Batman then tells the two. "Darkness. I don't understand. I did everything right, but all I saw was darkness." Duke then says, "What?" We are then brought 3,000 miles below Gotham City into a cave spewing with lava, as we see a cult wearing black cloaks with masks that resemble the jaws of a bat. With their glowing red eyes, we hear the leader of the cult then say, "It is done! He has stared into the abyss, and we have hidden what lies within. The final seal is broken. After all these generations, the sacrifice is at hand. Let us see them. Let us see what he should have seen if we had not prepared him correctly. The dark days are over. The dark nights are coming, and with them, the true father of Batman." We then see above the cult's bat statue, a portal open up, where we see in the portal a great bat and his Dark Knight army, and that ends today's story. Comic published by DC Comics. All rights, story art, and characters belong to DC Comics and their respective owners, not me. This has been Dark Days to Casting, and I'm your host, Keith One Shot. If you like this video, make sure to check out the rest of my Comic Complete dramatic reading series, and support DC Comics by picking up a copy of the trades and single issue comics. Support your local comic book shop, take care, and have a great day. Goodbye!